it is the moment. The spotlight is on me, all right, to do this bad, awful ranking. All right, this is the third ranking. If you haven't seen my 2 rankings, go watch those. I do them every 40 album reviews. So we're doing another one right now. Guys, click that like and subscribe button immediately if you're new here. I need that shit expeditiously. I love you guys. I appreciate the support that all you guys show my videos, man. I cannot be more grateful. So yeah, let's get into some really bad takes. Coming in at 40. All right, is LCD Sound System's Sound of Silver. Guys, let's be honest. If you watch that review, you should not be shocked by this placement. Listen, I love and respect that album. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's gonna be no album on this list that I dislike. I do not dislike this record for what it is. I respect it, and I see how you guys love it, and I appreciate it. Most of the songs in here do not do my ears like they do y'all's. I'ma just be honest. I don't know if it's the genre, you know, or something about his vocals on a lot of these tracks, but you know, it just doesn't, and I'm gonna say this multiple times maybe, it just doesn't tickle my fancy. It just doesn't really scratch that itch that I needed. My favorite tracks though have got to be New York, I Love You But You're Bringing Me Down, and the intro track, Get Innocuous. I also like the my mic does not like that take. I also enjoy the title track. Coming in at 39 is Block Party's Silent Alarm. I apologize to the person I recommended this for months. I'm sure you don't like this, but I mean, it's my most recent listen, so that's my excuse I'm going with. It just has not really aged on me too much, and I think I need to listen to it more and let it sit and let it digest for a longer period of time before I really, you know, put it over a lot of the shit that I found enjoyable on this list. I think a lot of the songs I did enjoy sound-wise, but I just don't visualize myself returning to a lot of them. I do have to say, I think I loved This Modern Love and So Here We Are. Those were amazing songs. Love those ones. I do plan on returning to those on a frequent basis. There was a lot of qualities about this that I enjoyed, but overall, coming in at 38, I apologize. I apologize for this, because I know that this is going to get people fucked up. I know that this is going to get people mad. 9 Inch Nails, Downward Spiral. I know that this is insane. But hear me out. And if this list is objective, it is way higher. If I have to compare my feelings to this album with anything else, I would have to compare it to how I would feel if I was face to face with a grizzly bear. You know what I'm saying? It would be sick, but I just prefer to, you know, admire its beauty from a distance. I would not want to be, you know, in a close proximity with that motherfucker. I think I would like to, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm very elastic when it comes to music, guys. So if I listen to a fucked up album like this, I'm gonna get fucked up. A lot of the songs, you know, they did make my ears uncomfortable, but I appreciate his depiction of mental illness. I mean, I think it is an incredibly realistic point of view, and he paints it in its very ugly picture. So I mean, I love this album for that, and I do find it incredibly re-listenable. I just don't really go back to it because I don't want to, you know, experience those feelings. Favorite track on here has to be Ruiner, and all the other songs I kind of like equally. You know what I'm saying? Coming in at 37, I got Television's Marquee Moon. This is also one that people are probably going to be mad that it's this low, but, you know, I listened to this album and I was like, okay, these guitar riffs are amazing. You know, this is blowing my mind right now. I cannot wait to re-listen to this over a long period of time, and I just couldn't find myself returning to it and going back to it. I don't know why. I mean, I loved a lot of the sounds on here, and I loved his vocals on here for the most part, but I don't know, I just can't really return to it. And I wish I could. I really wish I could. It's just my heart and soul is just not there. My favorite song though has to be Torn Curtain. I thought it was the ultimate climax point, you know. I also climaxed at that point. So yeah, I still enjoy this album a lot, but it's just, you know, compared to the rest. Coming in at 36, I got Radiohead's Amnesiac. This was an interesting one. For sure. I gotta say that. I think it's a very consistent album. You know what I'm saying? Quality wise. Because we got another Radiohead one coming up real quickly after. And compared to that one, I did find the sound of this to be more consistent. I did find my mood, you know, throughout each song to kind of match. I feel like every song on here belonged with each other. I just think quality-wise, it just doesn't hold up to the rest of their albums. That's why I have it so low on this list. If I want to be put in a mood that this album would do to me, I think I would just go listen to Kid A. To be honest, I think I would just go listen to Kid A. I still loved Pyramid Song though. I think Pyramid Song is definitely one of my favorite Radiohead songs. Coming in at 35, I have Pixies' Surfa Rosa. I think my main critique with this album is not even a critique towards the album. I think I'm critiquing myself because I should have started with this and then Doolittle. But I think since I started with what in my mind is the superior album, it was hard for me to really listen to this and not compare it to that one. There was definitely a lot of concepts, similar to Doolittle, that I was confused about, but I still liked a majority of this album. My favorite songs being River Euphrates, Where Is My Mind, and Something Against You. I think all those are bangers, and I would definitely watch Flight Club after, guys. I promise. Coming in at 34, I got King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards, Nonagon Infinity. I think this album is great in a lot of different ways because each song, carries some similarities as the one that came before it, but it also shows many different qualities as well. And it all just feels like a big continual loop and a big never-ending cycle. I think a lot of the sound is just kind of overwhelming to me. Some moments on the album just aren't really for me music wise, and honestly I don't think I really went back to this album that much, and I don't know if I'm going to. I definitely have to give it a proper re-listen, but and I definitely have to dive into more of their discography because they have like 40 albums and I've only done one, so I'm sure there's probably a lot more that I would actually kind of prefer over this one. Even though I know that this is their best one, I feel like they have more albums in their discography that would fit me better. I don't know. My 3 favorite songs off here are Wawa, Robot Stop, and People Vultures. Coming in at 33, I got Radiohead's Hail to the Thief. This is one of the most frustrating albums of all time because it's 50 something minutes, you know what I'm saying? That's like above the average album length. I feel like the average album is like 40 to 50. I don't understand why there's some songs on here that, clearly just aren't good. Like they're just not. There's some songs in here and there are some sound moments that I just don't understand why the fuck they're here, because this album has some of my favorite Radiohead songs, and it's just, front to back, I'm loving it one moment and the next moment I'm questioning my existence. I'm questioning why I'm here. But yeah, although I find it a little bit inconsistent, I find this album mostly enjoyable. So I still love this. I don't understand how people can put this album like as like a top 3. Like I don't fucking get that. I think maybe if I listen to too much Radiohead, then maybe it would start to get sorted a little weird, but I'm just an average fan, so I can never see this over like the other 2 I have later on this list. Coming in at 32, I got Strawberry Jam by Animal Collective. And I know it's low, but I thought it was going to be like towards the bottom, but then I re-listened to it in preparation for this video, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. I feel like the second and third listen just really, the album continues to grow on me, and the themes of it continue to resonate with me as it goes on. I really love Chores. I'm a big fan of Chores. I also enjoy Peacebone and Fireworks. I just think the production on this is just like very interesting, and it's just so weird that it just makes me want to keep listening for more. And I love the passion that his vocals bring on this. It's just, I just think it's such a good album. Coming in at 31, I got Teenage Riot by Daydream Nation. Nah, I'm just playing. I got Daydream Nation. All right. Favorites. I think I enjoyed the first listen on this more than I did the second listen. There were some moments that I wasn't a big fan of, but I think the highs on this album were really fucking high. Favorite songs on here being Teenage Riot, Cross the Breeze, and The Wonder. The Wonder is a banger. Super underrated. Has like under 1 million plays. I think you should go listen to that. Coming in at 30, I got Unwound, Leaves Turn Inside You. I love this album. It makes me feel like a perfect schizophrenic. There's a lot of moments on here that my ears are just saying no, absolutely not. But there's a lot of moments on here that give me an orgasm. So I'm pretty bipolar when it comes to most of the songs on this album. Definitely a very complicated listen. A lot of songs in here that make me go huh. I do a little villager Minecraft noise whenever I hear some of the songs on here. I do prefer the low-key cuts on here though. That's how it usually is when it comes to albums. But yeah, favorites being Look a Ghost, One Lick Less, and October All Over. Those 3 songs are bangers. All right, One Lick Less never fails to make me want to jump off the Empire. You know what I'm saying? Coming in at 29, I got Arcade Fire's Funeral. This was an amazing first listen experience, and I say first listen experience with heavy intent, because I was listening to this and I was like, holy shit, this album is amazing. I'm gonna go back to so many songs after here. But then, like, I don't know why, a lot of this album was just in one ear out the other. I don't know why, it just didn't really make a heavy impact on me over time. But that's just who I am. That's just who I am as a person. You know, if you were to put this album at number 1 on my list, I would be like, that's a fair take. That's a fair take. I mean, I would say that for any other album, because, you know what I'm saying, I'm a very fair guy. Don't dislike the video. But I just love a lot of the themes that this album presents about growing up and young love and kind of getting a grip on life and a grip on the fears around us. So I'm a big fan of this album. My 3 favorite tracks are Power Out, In the Backseat, and Tunnels. Huge fan of all of those. At 28, I got Boris's Feedbacker. If you were to watch my Boris review, you'd probably be like, oh yeah, he's putting this low on his next ranking. But like, I don't know why. I mean, this album just continues to grow on me. Especially Feedbacker Part 2. One of the sexiest instrumentals I have ever heard, you know, and it's just so easy to just put in some AirPods, put on that song, and just fucking melt away for like 16 minutes. I think it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, I think Part 4 is unlistenable. I still cannot and will never listen to Part 4 without having blood leaking from my fucking ears after. The pace of this album is so amazing. I feel so aesthetic and swag whenever I listen to it, and I'm going to continue to listen to it. Coming in at 27, I got the SpongeBob album, otherwise known as Ween the Mollusk. Just a silly little whimsical take. We got some real emotional cuts on here though. You know, I think this album evokes a lot of mood out of me. We got some funny cuts, we got some sad cuts, we got some cuts that make you want to break something. So I think that this is just one of the most versatile albums I've ever listened to in my entire life. And all while sticking with the main core oceanic theme. I find it very impressive. Favorite tracks are Ocean Man, of course, She Wanted to Leave, and It's Gonna Be Alright. It's Gonna Be Alright has to be one of my favorite songs I've listened to this year. I think it's a banger. All right, and it's one of the most, you know, out of pocket breakup songs I've ever heard. You know, usually we hear about the person who got broken up with perspective, and now we get a perspective on the person that's doing the breaking up. Coming in at 26, I have The Cure's Pornography. Very intense, brutal, and dark listen. All right, very uncomfortable subject matters, but it's very necessary. This is a very necessary album. And although I knew very early on while in listening to this that it was not going to be better than Disintegration, this album certainly has its moments that top a lot of moments in Disintegration. My favorite song by The Cure now is 100 Years. I mean, just the guitars in that song are so fucking intense. This album just makes me want to put on a villain cape and just venture off into the night, you know, just go on a dark adventure. That's what this album does to me. I think it also picks up towards the end as well, because I don't know why. This is just a second half album for me, besides the first song. Coming in at 25, I got Car Seat Headrests, Teens of Denial. This is a very confusing album for me, because when I listened to this, I was like, you know what? I like this more than Twin Fantasy, but as time has went on over the past 2 weeks, I don't really find myself returning to it a lot. This is one of the ones that I re-listened to from start to finish again in preparation for this video, and I found myself re-falling back in love with it just as much as I did in the first listen, but I still don't find myself, you know, planning to return to a lot of the songs in here, because a lot of the best moments on here are from the really long songs. But I just love Will's, you know, depiction of mental illness on here. He has a lot of lyrics that are very easy to resonate with, and I gotta compliment it, because despite its long length, it is certainly a very enthralling listen from start to finish. I love it. Favorite tracks being Fill in the Blank, Drunk Drivers / Killer Whales, and Cosmic Hero. Coming in at 24, I got Doolittle by Pixies. Now, a lot of these songs did truly terrify me, but most of them just turned me on. And I actually loved not being able to understand, you know, what he's talking about. I mean, there's so many words on here that I just don't even know the meaning of. It's like I'm being thrown into insanity, you know, and each song with its length seems to get so much done within that small period of time. I mean, whenever I think of a 15-song album, I'm picturing that album maybe to 50 minutes to an hour long. This album is 38. Favorite tracks on here are Debaser, Tame, and Here Comes Your Man. Coming in at 23, I got Weather Days, Come In. Just the raw emotion that they depict on this album is so incredible, and you can really fucking feel that shit. When someone commented that they did this on the Xbox microphone, I was like, yo, what am I doing? I gotta get on my shit. I gotta get on my shit immediately. And I love how you're with the instrumental and you think it's going one way, and then all of a sudden it just does a fucking U-turn on you, and just goes a completely different direction. I feel like that's what happened within their relationship with this person. My favorite tracks in here are the intro track, the title track, Porcelain Hands, and Agatha. Agatha, I don't know. Whatever it is one of my favorite songs I've heard within this channel, period. That shit made me, I was edging. Coming in at 22, I got Massive Attack's Mezzanine. Not every moment on this album is rememberable. I think a lot of the moments get shadowed by the best ones on here, you know, that them being on Angel. I do think that this album peaks on Angel. I fucking love Angel, y'all. I can't even put into words. Teardrop as well, and the exchange that's in parentheses, not the regular exchange. Just a lot of the vocal performances on here are just kind of hit or miss for me, but the production all the way through is incredible. So I gotta keep it pretty high on this list. Coming in at 21, I got American Football's Self-Titled. This album just made me wanna just smoke and unwind, you know what I'm saying, and just reflect on past hurt that I didn't even experience, that he experienced. You know, I felt like I was this dude's fucking therapist, and there wasn't even a lot of vocals on this album. It's just the guitars, man. The fucking guitars on this album. I need more of whatever the fuck this is. I know it's emo, and I do have some more emo recommendations that I gotta get to, which I will. But this album is just one of my drugs. It's coming in at 20. I got David Bowie's The Rise or Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. You know, for years, I heard the David Bowie hype, you know, and I never really understood it because I never really took the time to listen. But then I did, and, you know, song for song, you know, this album just paints a new color, you know, whether it's introducing a new instrument to the mix, whether it's just through his songwriting. You know, I feel like he just accomplishes so much here. I mean, he really just paints us a whole fucking universe, a whole storyline that we can learn from and gain lessons from. You know, I feel like this album just has so much depth to it. It's crazy. My favorite songs in here are 5 Years, Soul Love, and Starman. Coming in at 19, I got Phoebe Bridgers with Punisher. I love her vocals. I find them so gentle and so calming. The main thing I loved about this album was just her incredibly creative and thorough songwriting, how she ties a song, you know, just perfectly together from the first lyric and from the ending lyric. It's like a whole big story. And I love the outro to this album. It all comes down to a big crashing, burning end, but it does it in a celebration kind of way. So it's very interesting. Favorite songs on here being that one, I Know the End, Chinese Satellite, and the title track, Punisher. That one melts me away every time. That one is crazy. At number 18, I got Quadeca. Yeah, I got Quadeca, motherfucker. All right, and I put him higher, and I'd put him higher if I could. Born Yesterday makes me cry. It makes me cry. I can't get over the fact that he produced this himself. I mean, every song is just so fucking layered, it sounds like. And it's just so haunting from start to finish. No pun intended. Dude got the fucking Sunday service choir on here, and they killed it. Do I feel like some songs could have been a little bit shorter? Yes. You know, I think Knots didn't need to be there. But the highs on this album, man, the highs get me genuinely emotional. And I don't know how he does it. Coming in at number 17, I got System of a Down's Toxicity. I read a comment that made me think a lot about this album after I listened to it, of, you know, how this album is just basically them predicting, you know, something bad is gonna happen in America. And then what happened a week later? I think the only thing stopping this album from being very high on the list is just the fact that my ears are still kind of getting adjusted to the metal genre. So I think over time, this is going to grow into the top 10 for sure. But I think right now, my stomach is just not still fully ready, you know, to accept a lot of the sounds on here, you know. But I do think the song for song, this album does not miss at all. I gotta say though, my top 3 songs, favorites on this album are the most popular ones: Chop Suey, Toxicity, and Aerials. I don't think the other ones will grow on me to the point where I like those over those 3. Coming in at 16, I got Nirvana's In Utero. Kurt's lyricism is so brutal on song for song. I mean, you can just feel the emotion within all parts of the production. Similar to what I just said about System of a Down, the grunge kind of sound also is still something I'm warming up to. But I do once again enjoy the popular ones on here. And All Apologies, Heart Shaped Box, Serve the Servants. But yeah, with just the popularity of Nirvana, I was expecting myself to like this album more than I did. I still loved it. But I mean, I don't know. I felt like my expectations were really high for this one. Number 15, I got Queens for the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf. I love the radio concept of this album. Love it. I mean, it just does it so, it seems like effortlessly, all while incorporating so many different kinds of lyrical themes and just different things. It's just a big cesspool. You know, I can't even mentally describe the image that is put in my mind when I listen to songs off this album. It's just so surreal. And I think this album actually continued getting better as it went on. I think second half of this album, to me personally, is substantially better than the first half. My 3 favorite songs, all in the second half, are I'm Gonna Leave, Do It Again, and Another Love Song. Another Love Song is fucking insane. At number 14, I got Sufjan Stevens, Carrie and Lowell. Lol. Boy, did this shit hit me like a bus. Alright, I was not ready. I was not ready for what this shit was gonna do to me. Just one of the most consistent emotional records about death. You know, I feel like I'm really a front row passenger. Are y'all hearing this right here? This is what happens when you drink Diet Coke, bro. My throat starts making weird noises. But yeah, I feel like I'm a front row passenger in this man's emotional mission to kind of accept grief and accept loss. It is very draining on the soul to listen to this album, and it's so consistent from front to back. There is not a single moment on this album that is unnecessary. Favorite songs on here are All of Me Wants All of You, Drawn to the Blood, and The Only Thing. Coming in at 13, I got Elliott Smith's Self-Titled. Just so buttery smooth, Elliott. So buttery smooth, imaginative songwriting. I mean, I felt like heroin was just destroying my life listening to this. I mean, I felt like it was doing that shit to me. But yeah, the imagery in his songwriting is just so incredible. He is easily up there from one of my favorite songwriters ever. I mean, just the way he does it is crazy. And song for song, it's just so fucking consistent. It's almost frustrating. It's almost frustratingly good. And it's a sin that I haven't done another one. I really have to do another one. I think I'm gonna do Figure 8 probably. My favorite songs in here are Clementine, Satellite, and The White Lady Loves You More. At 12, I got a recent album. I got Sufjan Stevens again with Javelin. This album did the same thing that Carrie and Lowell did to me emotionally, but I think I just tend to gravitate towards the more electronic production that's on here. That's why I kind of enjoy that one more than Carrie. Each song and just the way it ends and the way it progresses just feels like a big, you know, cinematic ending. My favorite tracks on here are Shit Talk, Will Anybody Ever Love Me, Goodbye Evergreen. Coming in at 11, I got Radiohead's A Moon-Shaped Pool. Not knowing the context of this album before the listen and after the listen was very tolling. The second listen to this album was very different for me than the first listen. Listening to True Love Waits the second time was not pretty. Alright, I would not have done that on camera, let's just say that. But I love the very watery production, and I know I'm saying that because the album cover is water, but it really is that way. I mean, it just feels so weightless from start to finish. Favorite tracks on here are Daydreaming, Identikit, and Present Tense. Coming in at number 10, I got Fiona Apple with When the Pawn. Fucking production on this album is I don't see enough credit for. I think it's fucking incredible. And just the melodies on here are so catchy. They get stuck in my head for hours at a time. I personally don't really think that there is a single flaw with this album at all. I think it's perfect from start to finish. My favorite tracks on here are On the Bound, A Mistake, and As Fast As You Can. At number 9, I got Bon Iver with For Emma, Forever Ago. I fucking love the story behind this album. Got broken up with and then escaped to a cabin. Alright, and then wrote this album, and all of these songs are just packed with emotion. And I think my biggest thing that I love about his music is just the vocal layering. I feel like the mix and the master on these songs are so fucking pristine to the ears. They're so smooth. My favorite tracks on here are Flume, Skinny Love, and For Emma. At number 8, I got Beach House's Bloom. This is just one I can just turn on and just die to, you know? It's just so dreamy. It just makes me want to walk into the ocean and just feel the air. My favorite songs in here are Myth, Lazuli, and The Hours. I love The Hours. I was not expecting that kind of sound to be on this album, but it's kind of the song I've been going back to the most. Number 7, I got Dean Blunt's Black Metal. This album has become a permanent part of my personality. It's just, I mean, it's just who I am now. There is no going back. You know, I was not the same man I was before I listened to this album. It changed me. It changed my brain chemistry. I did not think that 100 could do that to a man. I did not think that a 3-minute song could do that to someone. Just the versatility that he shows on here is amazing. And I continue to beat myself up every day because life is very short and I have not listened to another fucking album by him yet, and I have to. Favorite songs on here are 100, Hush, but yeah, 50 Cent, Molly and Aquafina, Lush. I'm going over the limit at that point. Coming in at number 6, I got the Smashing Pumpkins with Siamese Dream. Just the amount of emotions that this album takes me through, it's like a roller coaster. It's quite extreme, to be honest. You know, on so many songs, his vocals kind of seem like a powerhouse, and then on a lot of other songs, he seems pretty weak and frail. It's definitely an album that I would rather pick out my favorite songs and listen to those on repeat forever rather than listen to from start to finish. Favorite songs being Soma, Mayonnaise, and Space Boy. Those 3, that's the holy trinity right there. That's the holy trinity. Coming in at 5, I have The Flaming Lips with Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. I can't believe I haven't done Soft Bulletin yet. I mean, I did this album so long ago. I should have did Soft Bulletin by now. I'm so fucking this shit damn near saved my life. I mean, there's just so much positivity that you can just pull, you know, on tracks like Do You Realize, you know, that shit made me cry too. I'm a real man. I'm gonna admit when shit makes me emotional. Do you realize that shit made me shed a single tear? I mean, there's so many underrated cuts on here that don't get enough love. You know, like One More Robot. That's an amazing one. Are You a Hypnotist? Also incredible. I can't forget about Flight Test. That is probably my favorite track on here. You know, and I just love his lyricism on that. I love the story behind Flight Test. I find it so relatable. Coming in at number 4, I got the Smiths, Self-Titled. I fucking love this album. I actually love it way more than The Queen Is Dead, if I'm being honest. It's just me, you know. He just gets me on this one. He just fucking he's speaking to the soul here. The guitar work on here too is incredible. I said in the review that this is prime driving music, and I was gonna test it out, and I tested it out, and it's true. It works. Roll down wherever you are. Roll down your local window, and put. Coming in at 3, I got Jimi Hendrix with Electric Ladyland. I don't know why my expectations for this album were not as high as I thought that they were going to be, but they were fucking blown away. They were blown away. I was not expecting 2 like long ass songs on here, both of which were my favorite. There are multiple moments in this album that I'm just sitting there with disbelief. I'm in disbelief. Like when the song with the saxophone came on, I was shocked. I was shocked. That is one of my favorite songs. And I don't know, his lyricism is just so like confident and take it easy sort of vibe on so much songs. And with this album being as long as it is, I struggle to find filler, even though there are a lot of short songs on here that, you know, could have been longer, and there's a lot of songs on here that are long that could have been shorter. I just think all of it just all ties together in the end with Voodoo Child. I mean, that it's crazy. It's just wild. Fuck YouTube though for not letting me upload this for a long time. I went to war for this one. Coming in number 2, I got Radiohead's The Bends. I see criticism for this album, and I just don't get why. I mean, sure, you know, there are songs I do not compare at all to the highlights. I mean, Fake Plastic Trees itself can cure cancer, I think. Bulletproof, I Wish I Was, Nice Dream. But yeah, I mean, I have to put it this high because there are so many songs on here that me and Tom can already go bar for bar on. So, I mean, I don't know where I would rank it in the discography. I definitely wouldn't put it over like OK Computer, but I think, I don't know, I might like this just as much as In Rainbows, to be honest. I don't know about Kid A, but I don't know, I just think the production style on this album being, you know, going in a lot of different directions, I think it just catered to me more because I'm that kind of person. I like when shit goes in a bunch of different directions, shit that's very unpredictable. I'm kind of leading into this number 1 pick right now. I tried hiding it, but there is no denying it any longer. Coming in at 1 is Quebec by Ween, and I'm serious. I'm dead fucking serious. This is my number 1 pick, and I don't know why. I think a year from now it's not going to be number 1. I think a lot of the albums on here are going to outgrow it, but just as of right now, like where I'm at in life, I'm definitely a wiener. I'm definitely a wiener at this current present moment. Just the way each song plays into each other, being so incredibly different from the last one. I mean, some of my favorite musical moments that I've listen to on this channel are within this album. The guitar bridge on Transdermal Celebration is literally brain melting. It is insane. Tried and True is just such a fun love song. Happy Colored Marbles is a very kind of alternative song that has vocals that I like a lot for some reason. Hey There Fancy Pants' existence, you know, me kind of being like, what the fuck is this? Followed up by one of my favorite 3-track runs I have ever fucking listened to. I'm not gonna say anything, but I don't want it. That song is, that changed my life. If you want to see a man's life change on camera, go watch my reaction to that fucking song. It ends on such a grand climax too. You know, Gene's vocals on the final song are so fucking crazy. I think this album is perfect. You know, not because every song is perfect, and that's how I used to think. You know, I used to think albums had to be, oh, it has to go song for song for song for song for it to be perfect. But the concept of this album in my mind is perfect. So I have to call the album perfect. It's just who I am now. But yeah, this list, once again, 1,000,000% subjective. All right. If I'm rearranging this objectively, the list looks very different. It's just how the music sits on my mind, in my heart. So yeah, thank you for watching. Feel free to, I don't know, drop your top 5 of the ones that I did in the comments if you feel so inclined. Drop some more recommendations in the comments as well for the next 40. Thank you guys for watching this video. It took me a fucking while to make. I spent all day making this list, I fucking swear to God.